The gruesome encounter in Latehar between security forces and Maoists has claimed lives of 13 CRPF men. The brutality with which the security personnel have been killed by the Maoists shows that they are no better than the Pakistani army, which tortured and decapitated 2 Indian soldiers in a ceasefire violation along the LOC. Now, the Maoists booby-trapped the bodies of 5 CRPF men who were killed in an encounter leading to more casualties. Some CRPF men were killed when they were trying to retrieve the bodies of the slain CRPF jawans. The tactics used by the Maoists have stunned security experts. Now, describing the brutality, the Home Ministry officials said that the Maoist modus operandi was hardly any different from the treatment meted out by the Pakistani army to Indian jawans along the LOC on Tuesday. However, CRPF jawans fought a battle to the finish with Maoist terrorists in Latehar in Jharkhand. They were outnumbered and outmaneuvered, losing at least 13 of their braves. Headlines Today's correspondent Jugal Purohit accompanied the CRPF men across the treacherous territory to the very spot where the encounter raged on, and he got us this exclusive report from the epicenter.
Near the Katia village, we are here at the very site where the encounter took place almost 48 hours ago. These bodies which you're seeing on your screens right now, we cannot go any nearer from this point because we are told that the entire area is full of mines and IEDs that the Naxals have planted. These people also, these bodies that you're seeing, there are 2 here and there's 1 behind and 2 more on the other side, actually taking the toll beyond 10 now officially. Initially, the CRPF had said that they have around 5 casualties and at least 4 of the officers missing, and now yesterday we found 2 bodies in the area, and now we are seeing around 5 bodies in all. Clearly the toll has gone up, and this is the area which is full of, we are seeing several shells around, strewn around, several bullets which are in the area. Clearly what you're seeing behind me is an absolute proof that this is the place which had actually witnessed a bloodbath almost 48 hours ago. Where I am standing is actually the site where on one side was the CRPF and the Jharkhand Jaguars on my right hand side, who were actually climbing on to this area. As you see, the steepness and the slope actually goes up, and they were perched up against the Maoists who were in this area on these slopes. In fact, there are several trees that we saw which had bullet marks in it, a clear indicator of the intensity of the fight which must have happened in the area. In fact, a little beyond this is where we just spotted at least 3 to 4 bodies in uniform, obviously identified and belonging to the CRPF as well as the Jharkhand Jaguars. This was the scene where the very ghastly and the very intense encounter took place, which resulted, at least in the immediate aftermath, in injuries to 10 to 11 personnel of the CRPF and Jharkhand Jaguars. These are, in fact, what you are seeing are the very recently, in fact, inducted Belgian Shepherds, and clearly, as I just explained, as you're seeing them in operation right now, these Belgian Shepherds go a long way in ensuring that the CRPF is not just safe but is also very effective in conducting its operations. Jharkhand police and the CRPF are well equipped in terms of their weapons, starting from their personal weapons and graduating further to automatic rifles like the AK-47, the INSAS, light machine gun, and even the automatic grenade launcher, along with their 51mm mortars. However, the enemy that they encountered this time around took them by complete surprise, because the Maoists, who are not believed to possess mortars, AK-47s and light machine guns in large numbers, were raining fire on these forces using those very weapons. So much so that despite 48 hours having gone by, the forces have still not been able to account for their 3 missing men, at least officially. As you see behind me, these men from the Central Reserve Police Force are sprinting to ensure that the bodies of their departed colleagues reach back at their residence. It's already been a very delayed case, especially because the Naxalites yesterday booby-trapped a couple of bodies of the CRPF men which were at the encounter site. Because of this reason, the CRPF and the Jharkhand police did not want to take chances, and in fact had brought in a PDDA squad from Ranchi, which actually examined the body and the conditions in which the bodies were found. Of course, yet again the Naxalites had booby-trapped these bodies as well, but it's a remarkable feat by the PTDS team as well as these troops that you're seeing behind me, that these bodies are being sent back to their loved ones for the final look. With Vishal Behel, Jugal Purohit for Headlines Today.
And Jugal Purohit now joins us from Ground Zero from Latehar. Jugal, coming to you. You've been filing a lot of detailed reports from Ground Zero. They all point to perhaps a conspiracy that was planned by the Maoists to trap our CRPF jawans.
Absolutely, Vedika. In fact, and the irony of the situation is that this entire operation started a month back with the CRPF and the Jharkhand Jaguars actually having the upper hand because they had the intelligence about the movement of this very senior cadre leader of the Maoist, Arvind Ji, as he is known as the Eastern Regional Bureau Head. And even though the CRPF and the police were chasing them all this while into the jungles of the Jharkhand, at the last minute it does appear that the intelligence that they had obviously gave them the slip, and the Maoists ensured that the intelligence lead that they always claim to have actually worked on the ground when they laid an ambush and ensured that at least 10 CRPF jawans and 12 to 13 others were injured and killed in the encounter. Clearly goes to show that it is an absolute role reversal which took place. The hunter became the hunted. Even as we speak right now, Vedika, a very important piece of news that I can give you is that now it is officially being told to us by sources that the Maoists have managed to flee the blockade that the CRPF and the police had laid for them in the forests of Latehar, and the Maoist leader commanders have all fled from the area into the southern part of the state where the Saranda forest starts. The forces are not as yet equipped and in enough numbers to chase them, so one can clearly say that what started off as an intelligence based operation has actually turned into a debacle where the forces are left counting their losses, whereas the Maoists, who have also suffered, let me tell you, quite a heavy number of casualties, at least 10 to 13 by different accounts that we are gathering, have actually managed to flee this blockade, clearly going to show that something absolutely went wrong as far as the infrastructure, the intelligence and the weapon setup of our forces are concerned.
Right, Jugal, but what's also very worrying, now that you've spoken to a lot of people, CRPF jawans, a lot of experts on the ground, the big question is, where are these Maoists getting the supplies from of arms? You've spoken about mortars, you've spoken about excessive AK-47s being found there. Where are they getting the supply from? Because this is just going to be a very, very difficult challenge for our forces on the ground to tackle.
Very true, Vedika. In fact, it has always been the practice of the Maoists to loot police and the central forces, and especially their weapons. Even these bodies which were booby-trapped, their weapons were all taken away by the Naxalites. But that's not really worrying, because that's always been a part of their modus operandi. What is worrying, however, is that the quantities have increased tremendously. There is, of course, a link that we are constantly hearing about from the northeastern side, whereas they are getting weaponry from perhaps the Chinese side as well as the Myanmar border areas. That is something which is actually worrying the security forces, because now the conventional edge that they had in terms of their arms and weaponries and ammunition is also fast depleting, because the Maoists, as we saw in this encounter, were actually raining fire using LMGs and mortars, clearly taking the forces by a complete surprise, causing and adding further to the pandemonium which broke out on understanding that they've been encircled and the hunters were in fact the ones hunted. So this is, as you rightly pointed out, a great cause of concern, and clearly the problem cannot be solved just here at Latehar, but at a very senior level where the government of India will have to actually take a look at where from and how can these supplies be constrained.
All right, Jugal Purohit there, reporting from the epicenter where that clash took place, where we lost 13 of our CRPF jawans.